to tonight's meeting. Please rise before we pledge allegiance. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call the meeting to order, and in the back we have Scott Stilson, who is here to videotape the meeting. Also, this meeting is on the Zoom platform also. First, we have our consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the entire consent agenda?
I make the motion to approve.
All in favor?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, up next we have departmental reports. First up would be Don Johnson, who's not here this evening. Steve normally reports for him.
Sure. Don's, involved in doing routine road work out there, repairs, and also storm sewer maintenance because of the many heavy showers that we've had. He's also later this month and next month, going to be doing several small storm sewer projects. One's over at Knob Hill, that's a cross drain across the road over there. And there's a small system being put in on Reservoir Road, and then a new cross pipe on Supplee here. So him and the crew will be doing those. The other thing that we should say for Don is that he's down one person. We had a person resign, and they're going off to start their own business, so that's good for them. Our job now is to find somebody who has the qualifications for the job. We do have the posting listed on the website, and if anybody wants a copy, they don't have access to a computer, you can call the office and we can send one out to you. But you have to have a Class B CDL at the minimum and be able to operate heavy equipment. So that's just basics that you would need for the job. And we're going to be accepting those applications up until the time we find somebody who's qualified that meets checks all the boxes, and then the job will be closed. So we don't know if it's going to be closed next week or next month. So if you're interested, you should get it. That's it for Don.
Thank you, Steve. Next, we have Christy Dreiseretti, our administrative assistant. Christy, would you comment?
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Steve, I only caught about half of what you said, so I don't know.
I'll fill in.
The breakup is. That's great. It's as if your mic isn't picking up everything. It's odd. Anyway.
See, I agree, just for the record. I hear you.
Thank you. The Piper Community Partnership met on June 15th and again yesterday. The application to the U.S. Geologic Naming Board is almost ready to go for naming Sweetwater Run. We're just waiting on the hard copy of the resolution from Borough Council, and then that will be ready to go. A grant proposal was submitted to Chief Wrangler for monies to cover signage, and that was due June 30, and they should let us know by the end of July if we made the cut. There are 23 vendors lined up for the Health and Wellness Fair during Harmony Day, coming up on Saturday, September 19 at the Honeybrook Fire Company Fairgrounds. There will be something for everyone, young, old, and in between. Scheduled are line dancing, yoga, and car safety seat checks, so don't miss it. I did want to put in a plug for the Fresh to You mobile market that comes to the M&T Bank parking lot in the center of the borough every Wednesday from 2:30 to 4:30. They'll be there every Wednesday through November 19. The produce is fresh, locally grown, and very reasonably priced. I encourage everybody to visit at least once, if not more. And lastly, for the supervisor's benefit, the Chester County Association of Township officials has announced a save the date for the fall conference, which will be Thursday, November 11th, from 4 to 9 p.m. at the Winston Hall Inn. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Gracie. Up next, we have Steve Landis, our township manager.
Okay, as you know, we're engaged in a feasibility study for what we're calling today the Isedale Trail. And that's a trail that would go from Living God Lutheran Church on Horseshoe Pike and follow basically the abandoned railroad line and some easement through Sunoco that we're currently trying to negotiate and end up at Isedale Park. Because of COVID, we've had quite a bit of delay, and the time period that we had to complete the project in the county's grant agreement is going to run out. And so this week I've requested another 6-month extension so we can complete the project, which will be finished by the beginning of next year. So we'll hear from the county probably by next month's meeting, but I don't see any reason why they wouldn't agree to that given the circumstances. The Township's Act 537 plan. I know that we've come before you monthly and said that we don't have anything yet, and now we have something. So Mike and I received a copy of the letter that your consultant, Ebert Engineering, prepared to respond to DEP's questions that DEP had forwarded to us in November of 19. And so that's ready. And they also prepared a revised Act 537 draft, and that's been advertised and is available here for inspection. And in addition to, you have also provided that to the municipal authority, bless you, for their review. So that's out there. There'll be a 30-day review period, and whatever comments we get, we'll forward off to our consultant who can address those one way or the other for the revised plan. And we can do a formal submission again to DEP and hopefully get an approval. But we'll see. I'm still holding out. We can do this by the end of the year. So, Beth, I have a little note here that you should update the board on the Helm salvage issue.
Okay. So we have, as it stood as of this morning, we have 3 kind of different actions pending with Helm. We had a summary appeal hearing this morning at Chester County Court of Common Pleas down in Westchester, because Helm had appealed 4 guilty citation verdicts that we obtained at the beginning of June. He did not appear, so his appeal was dismissed, and the charges and the guilty verdict from those 2 hearings in June will stand. So those fines will get paid by him for a total of $2,000. We also have another set of citations that were filed in June. Those were scheduled for a hearing yesterday, but that hearing got continued to August 3rd of 2021. And I do note that he has an attorney representing him now. So we can, I won't speculate publicly whether that's good or bad, but it might, at least have some room for discussion and progress. And then the third thing is the civil complaint requesting an injunction, basically asking the court to, by court order, require him to comply with certain of the critical health and safety issues related to the junkyard, the hours of operation, the materials in the front yard, diesel fuel, a variety of items we've discussed. So that is, we finally got the court order today. So the hearing for that is on August 17th. That will be down at the Court of Common Pleas in Westchester as well. So that is going to be the hearing where we kind of try to bring all of the evidence that we have to convince the court to take action that allows us to have some real teeth and leverage to have the force of a court order that he needs to comply with, or else to be held in contempt of court. So that's where we are. Slowly marching forward, but we're getting there, hopefully. And I'd like to see the judges and see all the time and effort that the township has put into this and really, side with us. But we will see where things go, and I will keep the board updated. Obviously, that hearing won't occur until after the August meeting, so won't have a whole lot changed on that issue before then, unless I hear from you.
All right, thank you, Beth.
Honestly, that's when we probably should be talking things outside of the public meeting to make sure we have, attorney confidentiality, and we don't want to always discuss all of our litigation strategies in public because the other side can listen. But we can cross that bridge when we get there.
Good. All right, next item is there's a fall winter township news being put together right now. Christy is the one who assembles this. And if anybody's interested in having a particular article in the news, please send Christy the article no later than the middle of August. So that gives everybody a month, and Christy's going to be working on that between now and then. So if you have anything, please get it in. The township received a recycling grant. Amount is, let's see, $11,753 in June, and that was for our application for 2019. And we'll actually be doing our application for 2020 later this year. So they're always, 2 years behind with the grant awards. The America Rescue Plan Act funding. Glad to report that the township's application was approved and that we have received the half of the $869,905 that was awarded. The other half will come in 2022, about 12 months from now. And those are the monies that the board's going to start discussing how to spend during the budget process, which will really kick into high gear in September. And last thing, one of the items that we were going to have on the agenda tonight was Home Court Advantage. That was the Keystone Courts Mobile Home Park, their addition. And I know they had done some work, amended the plan, talked to Technicon, Beth and myself, amended it some more, and they just recently decided, in fact I learned yesterday, that they're going to ask for a continuance at the July 19th zoning hearing board meeting. So there was no sense in them coming in tonight. They're asking for a continuance until August. And by that time, we'll be able to see a revised plan and a revised zoning variance application for the board to make a recommendation to the zoning hearing board. But I think what you're going to see is going to be significantly different than what you saw in February of this year. So that's all I have.
Thank you. And thank you, Beth, for the great summary there. Next, we have Land Preservation Committee. Looks like there's no report tonight. And item 5 would be Parks and Rec. Christie?
Christie?
Okay, sorry, I'm here. It's a whole different animal on a phone than it is on a computer. Park and Rec did not meet in June. They will meet tomorrow evening, and they are planning on having a table at Harmony Day to show the park renovation plans to anybody who wants to see them. I did neglect to mention that the April Pick It Up PA litter collection was a huge success. There were 20-some bags of trash that were collected in 4 hours' time. So I wanted to be sure to give a shout out to Park and Rec Board for their efforts on that day. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Christie. Item 6, we have a Planning Commission. We do have a couple members here of the Planning Commission, but General Mike give us an update on the Planning Commission.
Yes, thank you, Tracy. The only thing I have to report tonight is just a basic overview for what's going to be on this coming month's agenda. So far, we have Arbor's Edge would be a land development on Chestnut Tree Road. Planning Commission will be offering a recommendation for the supervisors for your action at the August meeting related to their zoning hearing board hearing coming up in August. There's also a dimensional variance for Sam King. I believe that will be reviewed as well. And in addition to that, there was a sketch review that was prepared by my office for 2207 Horseshoe Pike. That's related to a proposed 175 lot subdivision that's being proposed on Route 322. So that was a zoning review that will be reviewed at the Planning Commission meeting as well. And again, they can provide informal feedback related to planning elements and things of that nature. Anything additional from Terry or Gary? That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mike. So up next, we have Open Forum. First, we'd like to...
First we would have, if I may, here,
Sure.
we have a special guest, Curtis.
Hi.
So we'll put Curtis on and he can explain why he's here and what he's going to talk about.
Should I go to the mic or is here better or make sure I'm calling whatever?
Well, you can, if you want to, you can go over to the microphone.
I can talk about it. I think whichever is easiest.
That's fine.
Okay, cool.
Can the people on Zoom here talk?
Can everyone hear me?
All right, Scott?
Not yet.
You have to start talking and we'll tell you.
Okay, interrupt me if it's difficult. But thank you all so much for having me. My name is Curtis Miller. I'm from U.S. Representative Chrissy Houlihan's office. So we're here kind of introducing ourselves, talking about a little bit of an update from Chrissy herself, and largely to talk about our constituent services.
I don't want to interrupt, but
Go
he's
ahead.
not picking him up very well.
Can you do me a favor? Can you get closer to that microphone over
Yeah.
there
You
on
can
the
just
box?
stay right here.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Is this better?
Because she's a recording secretary, so that's very important.
I'll just figure out how to address everyone. But so we're talking about services we provide and a legislative update from Chrissy. So really briefly, she represents the 6th Congressional District, which is Chester County and the lower portion of Berks County. We have an office in Westchester, in Reading, and obviously one in DC. So in our Westchester office, which is where I work, and our Reading office, we largely work in constituent services and meeting with constituents and stakeholders just to kind of get a pulse on the community and ensure that we're staying updated. But Chrissy is a 3rd-generation Air Force veteran. She's an entrepreneur, an engineer, and an educator. She sits on the Armed Services, the Small Business, and the Foreign Affairs committees. She's really busy down in DC right now. Obviously, a lot of things are virtual. It's also about to be the August work period. So as I said, in the district offices, we're really working on a lot of issues directly with constituents. So some of that is helping individual constituents with federal agencies if they have specific issues, whether that's with the Veterans Affairs Administration, the Small Business Administration, Social Security Administration, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, really any federal agency. If there's any issue that a constituent is having, we're typically able to help in some way. And to that end, we've closed 2,500 cases since she came into office in 2019. And through a lot of the monetary assistance, whether that's IRS or Social Security, we've returned $7.5 million since January 2019. And this term so far, since January 2021, we've returned $2.6 million. So Christy, having been an entrepreneur herself, she really cares about kind of running a profitable business per se. So every year she's allocated $1.9 million to run her office, and she wants to ensure that she's returning at least, if not more of that, to the taxpayers of Pennsylvania 6th District every year. A couple other things before I wrap up. So Christy held more town halls in the 116th Congress than any other congressperson in Pennsylvania. So she held 49 since being elected in 2018, and one of those was before she was even inaugurated. Typically they're very topical in nature, so tonight we had one on environmental justice. We had one a couple weeks ago, our first in-person town hall at the Chester County Safety Training Facility, I think, on the topic of jobs and workforce development. If you're interested in staying updated about our town halls as we continue to have more in person, I'd encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter. You can do that at houlihan.house.gov. And it's great to hear that you're already receiving American Rescue Plan monies, because I did want to provide a bit of an update on what it sounds like you do have a pretty good understanding. But she did vote for that American Rescue Plan, which did include a lot of direct funding for state governments in the way of $195 million, and local governments, including municipalities, which is very exciting, $110 billion, as well as all the direct assistance through direct cash payments to families and individuals, small business assistance, a lot of nutrition assistance was in there as well. So that's really all I had to share. I'm also happy to answer any questions. As I said, we have a Westchester office and a Reading office. It might be similar distance from Honeybrook. I grew up in Honeybrook, so I'm trying to think. And if you have, whether you have a question about a federal agency and need help, or just wanted to kind of talk about some legislation the House is considering, I'd encourage you to call our office. But at this time, we can take any questions from. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. I accidentally brought Spanish ones, but it does have our number on it. So if you're interested in grabbing one of these, then I'll have some English ones shipped out. So thank you so much. Oh, perfect. I'll leave them with them just in case we need to question. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Riz.
Okay. Regular open forum. Anyone attending our in-person meeting on the right-hand side have anything? Terry?
There's a little known law in Pennsylvania that says that if somebody takes care of a piece of property for so many years, they can legally claim that as their own. I am now telling everybody here that my neighbor does not have a legal driveway. When he bought the property, he did not have enough property to put in a driveway. Yet he's got a driveway in going in. And so I'm just telling everybody now that if somebody makes a complaint or brings it up, then the law says that once it's out in the open, the ability for that person to take that property is not there anymore. So I'm bringing that out in the open in front of everybody to let you know that when that happens, there'll be a big fight going on. So.
That's our property up there, you pay taxes on it, it's not his.
We do have a bet on it. Beth, I have a question for you.
We haven't surveyed.
I have a question for the solicitor. So what I'm hearing, is that the English common law that you create an easement after a certain period of time?
I would have to go research it again.
John, I am going to tell you, I did not hear anything of the public comment.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure the context of that question. There is law then I could hear your question to me. There is law that, if certain elements are met, an easement, right to use something in the form of an easement can be established over the course of time, under certain conditions and certain criteria met.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I didn't hear any of the other comments.
Yeah, nothing was coming through for me either.
Terry, do you want to come up here and just repeat that?
No,
That's fine, you don't have to. Just a suggestion.
That one time is already the second time, huh?
there's a law on the Pennsylvania books that says if somebody takes care of a piece of property for so many years, and I think it's just under 20, but I'm not positive on that person who's taking care of that property can claim that as their own. And what I do know from talking to my neighbors, and I haven't gone over to Mr. Fisher yet, but he's the one that sold the property to him, and he has it in his records that the property is legally landlocked. So somehow or another, a driveway was put in, and I don't know how it was done, the neighbors don't know how it was done, but it was done.
Okay, I'm hesitant without the facts here to really give a legal opinion about this, and honestly, it kind of sounds, without more context, it sounds like it's a private matter between landowners,
Yeah.
not a township issue, that it probably isn't my place to be giving
I think it's in the context
in
of,
this meeting.
Terry was just informing us of that, and then I asked the question, the basis of law, in English common law.
That's all I'm doing, is I'm just bringing it out in the public that he can no longer claim it because we brought it out.
He's putting
We're
signs
saying
in
that
there.
we don't.
I think what you're speaking of is the law of adverse, and I believe that's a 21-year time frame. That's typically for land that is, say, an abandoned railway or a paper street, quote unquote, that was on a subdivision plan that's more than 21 years old, if I'm not mistaken, Beth.
Yeah,
It could
it is
be.
the law of active possession, and the time frame is 21 years, but it's not that simple, and taking care of it alone isn't necessarily, all that you have to do to gain the right or, remove someone else's right. So that's, I call it, there is a principle of law, you're correct. I'm not going to agree that it's maybe as simple as was stated here.
Right, I don't have any specifics in that, I'm just bringing it out in the open for it to be in the open, that it can no longer happen, or that he can no longer do that.
Okay,
Okay, thanks.
thank you.
Okay, again, if this is between landowners, and I think a private, a correspondence to the individual is probably the best bet rather than a public comment in a township meeting, if it with regard to two private properties that are involved. Or is there some township use that's relevant here?
No, I think we're okay with that. I think.
Okay.
Thank you, Beth.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, and does anyone on the left-hand side of the room rather have anything? Go ahead.
Check them out, Dan.
Sure. Yeah, that way you don't have to say everything twice.
Okay. My name is Amy Althouse. I live at 3511 Horseshoe Pike, which is next door to the proposed Honeybrook Estates development. I know tonight they are asking for a waiver to put their road under 400 feet from Cambridge Road, and I am asking that you deny that. It is already difficult to get in and out of my driveway. Their proposal is to put their road 20 to 25 feet from my driveway. So I don't know what their changes they're making to the highway. I believe they're putting in a suicide lane. I don't know if any of that has been approved by PennDOT yet or not. But I was told by PennDOT that they would not force me to make any changes to my driveway or to the front of my property. All the plans that I've looked at from Honeybrook Estates show changes made to that area, along with the fact that there's no way I can pull out of my driveway if there's a development road 20 feet away that is going to have 37 houses, so we're probably looking at 74 cars a day. I don't know whether the buses will go into the development or whether there will be a bus stop on Horseshoe Pike, which will cause danger and probably fatalities. There is already a problem for people turning off of Cambridge Road, either left or right, onto 322. The traffic backs up when people want to turn left onto Cambridge Road. The speed limit is 40 miles an hour, but cars, trucks fly by the shoulder, probably 50 to 60 miles an hour, causing numerous times that I've heard swerving, skidding, fender benders. A big truck went off the road a month ago or so ago, trying to turn right onto Cambridge Road. And I just think that that area is too dangerous to put a development road into. I know the original proposition was to put it across from Cambridge Road, which would make sense with the traffic light. That would probably work. I'm not sure why that's not being done, but I vehemently disagree with giving the waiver to allow them to put that in that small space. Thank you.
Thank you for coming and letting us know.
Sure.
Do you want to, Mike, go over why,
I think we'll cover it underneath this.
oh, it's on there, we're gonna talk about it anyhow.
I know, that's why I'm here.
Okay.
I have all the plans and papers and everything, so I've been following it closely.
All right, is there anyone on Zoom that would like to speak during our open forum here?
The only person on Zoom is Mark, and I assume that Mark, who's here to talk about the Honeybrook Estates plan, will talk about that when we get to that item on the agenda. Is that right, Mark?
I can speak to, like, I guess, answer that question at that time. I don't know that I heard everything, but I think I got the general gist.
Yeah, I think it'd be good at that time when you and Mike are going over each of the proposed motions that are on the agenda. Okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, then we'll move on to new business. First up would be Stephen Stalter, 375 Pleasant View Road. It's in regard to a special exception and variance application. Are you, is that
Yes,
okay?
Mr. Stoltzfus is here tonight. I can go over the plan if that's okay with you, Mr. Stoltzfus. If you have anything to add, I'll give you the opportunity to chime in. We had talked about this at the workshop meeting last week. This is over here on 375 Pleasant View Road. What Mr. Stoltzfus is proposing is he has an existing butchering operation located at another property in the township. And he's looking to move it onto the property over here at Pleasant View Road. As part of that, because of the size of the property, it doesn't qualify for a rural occupation, but it does qualify for a limited impact home occupation, which is granted by special exception through the zoning hearing board. In addition to that, there are two variances that are being asked for. One would be for the size of the butcher shop. The maximum in our ordinance is 600 square feet. They're asking for a 2,000 square foot building. 1/3 of which will be used for freezer and cold storage, is my understanding. In addition to that, there's a variance to not allow more than 2 customers to be part of the limited impact home occ. They're asking for relief on that because they're expecting more than the 2 customers at a time. They may have up to 20 customers in a day's time, in basically a 12-hour time period of a day coming to the property. So they're asking for relief of that as well. The Planning Commission has reviewed this and they've offered recommendation of support for the special exception and variances. Mr. Stoltzfus, do you have anything you wanted to add to that? Okay.
We're really thanking.
Okay. I'm sorry, John.
Yeah.
Swirl this way too. But if the board has any questions for Mr. Stoltzfus or myself, we can go over those, or you
No,
prefer
I
to
can
take a
do
motion.
whatever. Thank you, Mike. Okay, do I hear a motion to support, take no position or oppose for the special exception to the limited impact home occupation for 2 variances?
I'll make a motion to support.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll write a letter to the zoning hearing.
Just a point of order, if you could tell me what you just voted on, please.
We supported both the variances, A and B.
And the special exception.
Yeah, the special exception.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Up next would be item 2, Honeybrook Estates.
Okay, I'll give the board a little introduction on the plan, and then I'll ask Mark to chime in on the waiver request. The board has seen this plan, I believe, on several occasions. We've discussed this. You have granted a number of waivers for a variety of items related to this. As you know, this is part of the settlement agreement that the township entered into with the applicant, Honeybrook Estates, in this matter. As part of the preliminary plan, you granted conditional preliminary plan approval and a number of waivers from various township requirements that were noted in that agreement. At this point, we're now at a position for a conditional final plan approval. I've done a review of that. There are a number of outstanding issues, more or less administrative in nature, one of which is the PennDOT permit for the access onto 322. PennDOT is aware of the plan. They've reviewed it several times. They will have a final review of this again after this meeting because one of the motions is related to the PennDOT permit. As we talked about before, there is a waiver, an additional waiver that's being generated from my review for the relocation of the entrance because of some DEP concerns of wetlands and bog turtle studies that were done. The entrance has been relocated at the position where it's at currently. Because of that distance, it necessitated another waiver being necessary for section 610.4, which relates to the offsets of roads opposite from one another, being within 400 feet. So that is what the waiver would be before you tonight for your approval, as well as conditional final plan approval. And finally, the third motion would be for the PennDOT HOP application. And the reason for that, we have an agreement for you tonight. The reason for the agreement is the township has to be part of the PennDOT application when you apply for an HOP, where there's stormwater facilities within the state right-of-way. So the township asked the township to be part of that application. We have asked the developer to take responsibility financially for any repairs that would be necessary that the township would have to make to those facilities. So that's what the agreement that we've had drawn up. Beth's office has actually drawn up the agreement. It's been reviewed by the applicant, and they've signed it and provided it to you tonight for your action. So those are the three motions that are on the table for you this evening. Mark, I'll kind of defer to you at this point, just to kind of, if you'd like to give a little background on the revised street positioning on 322 for the board.
Sure, I can do that. As Mike already pointed out, the access point originally had lines of Cambridge Road, and in processing that through the Army Corps of Engineers, DEP, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife, that crossing was essentially eliminated as a possibility due to the impact on the potential bog turtle habitat. That's really what supported that through both the Army Corps and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. As far as the relocation then of that access point, we did shift our access then closer to the All-Pass property as she had indicated earlier. I believe our original access was closer than where the final configuration has ended up but I think that it's probably about 25 feet from our property line to the curb at this point. So essentially, we've modified that design through, I think, 9 reviews with PennDOT in getting the curb returns and the finish radii to be, within, I think, ending within 5 feet of the property line. But there is a taper that does extend because we are putting in a center turn lane that extends to Cambridge, and then the taper then extends through Cambridge. So, out of this does come official, I guess, left turn at Cambridge Road. The dimension between Cambridge and where we can put our access is less than the 400 feet, as Mike indicated in his letter. And with all of the obstacles that we have, mostly we don't own any more property. We do, it's my understanding, I was involved directly in the discussions with Mrs. Althouse or her attorney, but I know that we had a planned configuration to relocate our access drive off of our proposed street. That was not looked upon favorably by the Althouses, which is fair. And I believe we also looked at other options to move her driveway further away from our driveway, but I don't believe, I'm not sure the outcome of those. I know that they did not like the idea of it attached to the street. So our best case was to move it as far as we can, which is what we've done, which is slightly closer to Cambridge, but really either location would have required the waiver request.
So Mike, I have a question. So when we reviewed this, and I'm talking about, it's been going on before I...
I'm sorry.
Not Mark, I asked Mike a question. I give you, if you have any input on this as well, Mark. So my question has to do with, so it's gone through so many iterations over the years, and we went back and forth trying to minimize the impact of the land, the homes back there, the access and all that. This is the first time I'm hearing from the homeowners. I'm not surprised because, if that was my property, I would still feel the same way. So my question is, what relief would they have? They have to go through legal action, or what's the process, for them to seek satisfaction in this matter?
Well, ultimately, I mean, just to reiterate, PennDOT ultimately has the final say of where the street lies. And PennDOT, from what I've learned from PennDOT and the applicant, is that they're agreeable to the location that's proposed.
Yeah.
So if they can comply with all of PennDOT's design standards, regulations, and so forth, they will issue a permit to them for that access. Any other remedies or discussions or things like that become more of a civil matter. It's almost more of a Beth question, but I would imagine that would become more of a civil matter between the applicant and the homeowner of that property.
So is they? Yeah.
Maybe, yes.
So what you've heard so far, I know it may not be what you want to hear, but do you understand the course of action of how this is moving forward?
I've been at my location for 35 years.
Yeah.
I don't think I should have to change my driveway or move my driveway for somebody new coming in.
Yeah.
It's a road, it's going to be a road, and anybody that lives in Honeybrook knows that that area between, say, the old Greenberg's gas station and Cambridge Road is treacherous.
Yeah.
There are accidents there all the time. People don't obey the speed limit. And if you add another road, I just see fatality after fatality. Besides the fact that I will not be able to get in and out of my driveway.
So
And they are also suing me right now, so.
Hey, Mike, just FYI, we can't hear anything that he said.
yeah. Did you hear me, or couldn't hear Amy, or both? Maybe that's the good
The
answer.
last thing I heard was, I have a question for Mike.
All right.
Great.
Do you need me to repeat myself up there?
No, I think what My concern is that, I'm sorry, Annie, your last name is Amy?
Allhouse.
Allhouse, yes, so that you understand, what is happening here, that, and what action you may have available to you.
I don't have any action available to me.
All right.
You know, if you give them the waiver, I have no action available to me. I have to live without being able to use my driveway.
But ultimately, the PennDOT is the one that's.
Well, I'm not sure, I mean, no one's, and I'm just clarifying something, Mrs. Woodhouse. The township's not asking for you to move your driveway, and I don't think PennDOT is either.
No, but
So you have a driveway that exists and is not being changed or anything. So you have a driveway that's, you're allowed to use.
Right, but
There's
try
been
only on the
alternatives.
322.
Well, but that's not what my
When there's
question
a road
was.
20 feet from me.
Yeah, I understand. what
That's
the
their
concern
fault,
is.
that's not my fault.
And again, if they meet the PennDOT design criteria and are able to obtain a permit, that's under their jurisdiction to issue that permit for that road.
We'll just count the fatalities as they come along. You're talking about Amish people and horses and buggies. You're talking about people flying on the shoulder of the road to avoid the people turning on Cambridge Road. And now you're gonna have another road coming into that. It just doesn't make sense, and it's not safe.
In it because it is a state road, I mean, the highway occupancy permit is issued by PennDOT. We don't have any right to change the road placement at all, right? Because it's a state road.
If it's agreeable to PennDOT and it meets their criteria, they will issue a permit.
But PennDOT can't do that without your waiver. Is that true?
They need relief from the section of the ordinance, and that's what they're here before us tonight requesting. But there's no, it wouldn't matter unless they can line up with where they're at directly across from Cambridge, they won't be able to meet that requirement. So the hardship that they're presenting to you was presented before by the applicant related to DEP and Army Corps of Engineer issues. Otherwise, they were going to line up with Cambridge Road.
And build a bridge over the wetlands.
Right, which they're not permitted to do because of another state agency coming in and saying they can't do that,
Uh-huh.
which forced the relocation of the entrance.
Anyone else have any questions?
No, I think we understand the situation, so, all right, I think,
It's sort of a rock and a hard place for us too. We understand what you're saying,
Thank you.
so. Do I hear a motion to grant or not grant a waiver for the subdivision of land development ordinance 22-610.4 that requires the entrance road to be offset from another road intersecting Horseshoe Pike by at least 100 feet?
I make a motion to grant.
yeah,
Here, a second.
Baptist second, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item B, a motion to grant or not grant conditional final plan approval for the Honeybrook Estates subdivision and land development subject to the Technicon letter dated June 23rd, 2021. Do I hear a motion to grant?
I make a motion to grant.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item C, motion to approve or not approve an agreement with Honeybrook Estates LLC stating that the township will execute the PennDOT HOP application for the HOP improvement as applicant, and that HBE, which is Honeybrook Estates, will pay all costs associated with the application. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think I heard all that, so I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
sorry, Mark, this is probably the worst audio we've had in over a year. But you picked the wrong night to join us on Zoom.
I knew it was
Wow.
coming here.
You wouldn't tell me what was done.
Okay. Item 3, motion to approve or not approve the payment of all invoices for prepared by the treasurer. Do I hear a motion to support that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept or not accept the audit report of Honey Township non-uniform pension plan for the period January 1, 2017 to December 31, 2020, completed by the PA Auditor General's Office. Hear a motion?
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 5, a motion to approve these 3 financial security releases as recommended by Technicon for $15,514 to Smucker Fencing for completed site improvements. Release $69,750.30 from Penman Letter of Credit for Phase 1 Chestnut Ridge for completed site improvements. And C, item of release of $9,075.83 to Eric and Tracy Olson, 3041 Horseshoe Pike for completed site improvements.
I make the motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6, other new business. Do we have anybody that wants to talk about any other new business? Okay. Old business. Anybody want to talk about anything? Old business? No. Okay. Now we'll go back again to open forum. Does anyone on the right have anything they'd like to say here in person? No? Anyone on the left? Anyone on the Zoom meeting?
There's nobody else on the Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Nobody left.
All right then.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then we have some upcoming meetings. The meetings are all held at 7 p.m. unless otherwise noted. Parks and Rec, July 15th. Zoning Hearing Board, now that one is actually at 7:30 for Samuel Saltz's application for a special exception to operate limited impact home occupations or butcher shop and variances for building size and having more than two customers at a time. July 20th, Land Preservation Committee. July 22nd, Planning Commission. August 4th, Board of Supervisors Workshop. August 11th, Board of Supervisors meeting. Thank you for attending tonight and appreciate you coming out. Try to stay cool out there.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.